Well, thank you for that warm introduction. It is an honor to be here with this small but mighty panel to talk about career readiness. I'm so excited to be here with you and this opportunity to talk about an unprecedented career development framework that's being used in grades as early as first grade. And it's changing education. It's bringing hope to families to see greater possibilities for their kids, and it's helping every child know that there's unique opportunities for them out in the world. And more importantly, it's making sure that every child knows there's a place in the world for them. With that, I am so excited to be able to be here with you, and I'd love for you, each of you, to introduce yourselves, and I'd love to start at the end of the panel group, and then we'll work our way forward. Thank you so much.
Samar, Alyas, a parent and community liaison at Cajon Valley.
My name is Fadi. I am a student in Cajon Valley Middle. And I'm in 8th grade.
8th grader, right?
Yeah.
My name is Charlie. I'm in 1st grade.
And I'm Shelly Smith. I'm a 1st grade teacher.
Thank you. Thank you all for being with us today. And I'm so excited for our conversation. I want you to jump in and make this as natural as possible. We can all jump in at any time, Charlie, okay? So if something comes to mind, I want you to just jump right in, all right? Same for you, Fadi. So I want to get started with Miss Smith. We're going to call you Shelly today, though, right? We'll call you Shelly. Shelly, tell us about, really, because this idea of unprecedented, the work that you've been doing in your classroom is unprecedented. What does it mean to integrate career development starting in the 1st grade? What does that look like?
Well, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of purposeful play. It looks like a lot of trying on careers that we maybe have not heard of before. And it also means learning about ourselves in a way that helps us understand how a career might fit with what we really are passionate about. So we start our learning with our foundation in the Rios, which is John Holland's career theory, and connects interests to the people and the careers. So we do a good study about ourselves. We try to experience and explore a lot of different things to see which of the Rios theme codes match our interests. Charlie and I would like to explain what the Rios is a little bit, if that's okay. Charlie picked out a couple of the letters she really wants to explain, so I'll start with realistic. Realistic, those people are the doers. They like action, they like being outside, they use their hands a lot. They might like animals or tools, they're very active, they move around a lot. And then the next letter is I for investigative. Those people are the thinkers. They use their brains to figure out things, to problem solve. They might like science. They might like kind of just trying to figure out how things work and understanding and learning things. And then the next letter is A for artistic. And Charlie wanted to explain that.
Artistic is people who like to use their imagination to draw, paint, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And then you also wanted to tell them about social?
Yes, so people who like helping others and being nice and being like helping like others.
Right, they really want to build those relationships with people, don't they? The next one's one of your favorites, E for enterprising.
Enterprise. People who like talking and they like to take risks and persuade people to use their ideas.
Right, they can be very convincing, can't they? Yes. And then the last letter of the Rios is C for conventional, and that's one of my favorites, which I think is why Charlie let me explain it. Conventional is for the organizers, the people who like everything in its place. They might like math or numbers. They definitely are organized, and everything has a home and has a place, and that's something I'm passionate about too. So we use this Rios to understand each other and see what we have in common, but also what we have that is not in common, what we can learn from each other, and then we build our classroom community with that as a foundation, so we can learn about all of the other things we need to be learning about.
Thank you, Ms. Smith, and thank you, Charlie, for sharing. And this idea of the Rios is something that's used in vocational psychology, and it's typically something that's used for teens and adults. And so when we think about unprecedented, Charlie, this is unprecedented. This is happening in the 1st grade. And I'm wondering if you can share with us, how is it that you experience the world of work in the Rios in your classroom? How is that Miss Smith brings it to life?
Sometimes we use it by working. Like sometimes he tells us to draw some pictures. And so like I use my imagination to draw something and make it pretty.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, is there a favorite image that you can remember that you've drawn, that you've created, that you particularly remember?
I once made a drawing of me.
Fantastic. And do you remember what you were doing in that picture?
No.
Okay. I can only imagine. It was one of your favorite things, probably. Thank you for sharing. And Fadi, it must be amazing to, obviously as yourself, you've started to learn about the world of work here in Cajon Valley, and you've learned about the RIASEC. Here you are, learning from, in a sense, from a first grader who's, experiencing the RIASEC. How does this strike you? And I'm wondering about your own journey experiencing the world of work in the RIASEC in Cajon Valley.
For me personally, I started off with the interest code of RIC, I think, or E. And then over time it's changed and I've become RIS. So, and basically, any job is going to have you be really flexible and do all 6 RIASEC codes. And one time in school, where we went to a place called Junior Achievement BizTown, and it's a place where we got to experience the day in the life of, let's say, an electrical engineer or someone who worked at SDG&E. We got to do some example of banking and accounting.
And through that process, it sounds like you were thinking through your RIASEC themes, and obviously as you're experiencing the world of work, how has that maybe affected or changed the way that you're thinking about your own career aspirations and making this connection to your maybe future careers?
For me, right now, I want to be on the path to become an aerospace engineer. So, and I'm trying my best to figure out what interest code would align with being an aerospace engineer and trying to stay along that path, but also being flexible with the rest of the RIASEC.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Fadi. And Samar, it must be amazing to listen to your son, obviously having this deep understanding of himself, this level of self-awareness. Can you tell us a little bit about your work here in Cajon Valley and really the impact of experiencing the world of work for yourself as not only as a team member, but also as a parent, and how that has impacted you?
Oh, it's impacted me a lot because before the idea of For the Fork, before we learned about the RIASEC, I used to focus on my child's weaknesses. I never thought that he has other things that he likes to do. He has strengths, the areas that he likes. So basically, we spend almost all vacation times, all holiday times, like focusing on his weaknesses and how to solve these weaknesses. And later on, after I learned about the RIASEC, and I saw that people are really different. They shouldn't be like all the same. They shouldn't be like knowing everything. So when we started learning that, I started looking differently at him, and that open conversation between us at home, and then school became more fun because now he started doing things that he likes, no pressure from mom at home anymore. Because when you go to school and you do the things that you like to do and engage that with your education, the day will be very flexible and nice.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think all of us as kids and having moms and dads wish that our families, perhaps our moms and dads, would understand us as well as it sounds like you've learned to understand Fadi and his unique talents. How does that make you feel, Fadi, and maybe how has that impacted conversations that you've had with mom and family members, out of curiosity?
It's impacted me very positively because I know I'm understood and I don't have to worry about constantly trying to figure out how to explain something really well when I know that I can explain it and not have to worry about it being picture perfect.
Absolutely. Wow, beautifully stated. Thank you. Charlie, I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to come to Ms. Smith right afterwards, so be ready for me. But Charlie, Here's a mom and her son talking about the RIASEC. I'm wondering if at first grade we could expect, or you can share with us, are you having these types of conversations with your family at home? And if so, how are those conversations going? Does your family know about the RIASEC? Have they learned about your interest themes? How's that going?
I think my mom and my dad know about it, but not my grandma.
Okay. Well, I heard somewhere along the way that you had mentioned that you might be able to train others in the RIASEC letters. Is that true? And do you think that maybe grandma might be someone you may have a conversation with in the future about this?
Yes, and I can tell my grandma about it and my other friends that don't know about it.
Fantastic. Well, aren't they lucky to have you as a friend? That's for sure. Ms. Smith, it's probably amazing for you as an educator. I think probably some of this work is somewhat new, maybe 5 years new or so into your world. I'm sure that a lot of family members and maybe people watching are thinking, wow, are kids getting tracked? Are they getting boxed in? Once they identify an interest, are they not allowed to explore other areas? Can you talk a little bit about that part of this process and how you ensure that children don't get boxed in, essentially?
Oh, absolutely. The way we do it in our class is we start the year just learning what the RIASEC means, each letter, what it stands for, and we do some activities that are connected to each letter. We start talking about what we might want to claim, and then we'll move on and we'll swap out those activities for different activities. So, like, if the first time we do puzzles for investigative, because you have to do the problem solving and thinking, then the next time we do investigative, we might do some investigating, like with magnifying glasses and insects or something. So just twisting the activities a little bit, but keeping it with the letter of the RIASEC, the connection, and we'll do it multiple times. And every time we'll talk about, is that something you claim, or was it the activity that you liked? Do you think you like enough of the activities that connect to that letter that you might really want to hold on to that letter? Do you not want to? We have a lot of conversations about how it changes over time. The more we learn about ourselves, this goes for everybody of every age, the more we learn about ourselves, the more we change, the more we claim, the more we decide we might be interested in something now that we weren't interested in before, or we might stop being interested in something that we were previously interested in. So there's a lot of flexibility with the RIASEC, with the world of work, and we just try for it to be a process that we're understanding ourselves better and learning from each other and learning about ourselves in such a deep way that we can have really great conversations and really focus on just being really amazing people. But then another part of that is when we're learning about the careers. So in our first grade, we learn about a few different careers. So far, we've done technical writer and florist, and we're in the middle of civil engineering. We're building a town right now. But at the end of every career that we learn about it, the question always comes up, is this something I like, or is this something I don't like? We're not going to box anybody into anything. We're trying it on. We're seeing if it fits. If it fits, awesome. If it doesn't, okay, we know that that's not good for us, and we can focus on something else. So we always have an open mind and flexibility and an understanding that things change.
Yeah, that's so important. And we often talk about young people aspiring to careers that they didn't know existed, right? And we just heard Fadi talking about aerospace engineering. We heard from Ms. Smith talking about all the opportunities that she's making available to you to experience the world of work. And so I want to come back to that in a moment. I want to hear about maybe the careers that maybe you're dreaming about in the future. I've heard a couple already during our practices, but I don't want to leave the parent piece just yet. I want to step back to Samar, and I want to ask you, Samar, because I'm really interested in the work that you do as a family and community engagement liaison. What are the types of conversations that you're having with the families that you're engaging with? What are they telling you about this work? Because certainly I know that you've had a lot of deep conversations in this area with families. What are you hearing?
So families come to school every time. They know that their kids are safe, that we are teaching them reading, writing, math. We are taking care of them, but they don't have an idea how we engage them with the things that they like. Because we are teaching them the world of work. This is the new thing that we've been doing for the last 4 years. So their idea about school changed because some of them started thinking, oh, now I know my daughter, what she likes to do. Then I'd go home and help her or see what she needs from me. Maybe she's artistic, I'm gonna buy her more stuff. Other things like, families sometimes have high expectations for their kids. I know lots of them that they like them to go to medicine school or law school or maybe engineering school, but their kids might not be able to do that. So the idea of Ford of Work changed their mindset. They started to think more flexible and start to be taking that conversation with their kids at home. And because we are offering during our workshops how to take the RIASEC test, how we teach them inside the classroom, parents started to simulate all that to their life and to their own experience, and that affected them very good in a positive way.
That's great. And perhaps that advances relationships that are happening. We always talk about happy kids and healthy relationships, happy families and healthy relationships as well. And it sounds like this is becoming a language that can support those types of conversations, if that's what I'm hearing. So thank you for sharing. So Charlie, we're coming back to you because the big question on everyone's mind is, what types of careers are you dreaming about? What are the careers of the future that maybe you're thinking about? What are the careers that maybe Ms. Smith has brought to the surface in class that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was a career. Maybe I'm interested in that. So what have you been trying out? What have you been dreaming about? What's on your mind?
I kind of want to be a doctor when I grow up, but I think I want to see all the jobs that we learn about in school first, because I might want to pick one of those jobs.
Absolutely, yeah. And so based on the things that you've experienced already, you're thinking there might be something better on the other side. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer and not choose too soon, right? Is anyone forcing you to choose a career right now, or anyone forcing you to choose letters right now? No, okay. So Fadi, during our conversations, I think you made the statement during practice that you said that the RIASEC is essential. And I was wondering if you can expand on that statement and how understanding the RIASEC, because you're preparing to matriculate now into high school, and I'm wondering if it had something to do with that connection between understanding yourself and now considering what are going to be those next steps for you as you think about years 9, 10, 11, and 12 and becoming a upperclassman in a sense.
The RIASEC, like you said, is essential because in many situations you're going to be in a job that requires you, again, to be flexible and have all 6 RIASEC codes, and it's also going to help you find friends in life that you can come to depend on, count on, and they might have and it'll be easier to find people that have a similar RIASEC code to you, and it's okay to have a RIASEC code that's have friends that have a different RIASEC code than you.
Absolutely. So that's interesting that you're able to maybe make connections between people that you're engaging with, and knowing that there's connections for some that may have realistic investigatives such as yourself, but maybe you're looking out for those social enterprisers too that could bring value to and new perspectives to the types of things that you're doing. Is that correct? Is that what I'm hearing? Yeah. So, Ms. Smith, I'm wondering, Shelly, I can't always call you Ms. Smith. Shelly, how has this changed your teaching practices? Because certainly, and we've heard a little bit about that in terms of the dialogue that's happening, bringing careers into the classroom, having students self-report their interests, but how has this changed your practices as a teacher?
Well, first, to kind of go back to what I said at the beginning, it's given us, this World of Work program in the RIASEC has given us the chance to bring purposeful play back into the classroom, especially in grades where it's not as common. A lot of people tend to see that in preschool and maybe in kindergarten still if it's a lucky class, but we've been able to take it up to some of the higher grades too, so we're really getting to try things on. We need hands-on activities, we need interactions, and we can do that by understanding each other with the foundation of the RIASEC. But we also use it just naturally throughout the day in our conversations. The other day, we were taking a brain break from our diagnostic assessment that we were doing, and Charlie was building with some math shapes on the table. And she was building, and she said, look, I'm being realistic, I'm building with the shapes. So it naturally starts coming out in our conversation now because we use it so much. Introducing it in the beginning of the year is a little tricky. They're big words, they're hard concepts to understand, but the more we talk about it, the more natural it becomes, and the more common it becomes. And then the more we understand it, and then the more we can use it. And the more we can use it, the more we connect it to everything. Then we start reading a story, and we start talking about the characters in our story, and we know what their Riosec is. We start trying to find out the Riosec of animals. The other day we tried to find out the Riosec of the pineapple. We try to apply it to everything just because we can. We know so much about it. We are just applying it everywhere. And it really gives us this conversation, this language that we understand and we believe in, and so we can just have these really fun, silly, intense, deeply wonderful conversations, and it flows throughout everything that we do in our classroom, and it ends up tying into so many of the curricular areas too, without necessarily it being intentional. It just becomes a part of who we are as a classroom community.
Well, and it sure does sound, and it feels like there's an SEL component to it, and I want to come back to that in a second, but Charlie, Shelly makes it sound so fun. I'm wondering, is it that fun? Is it really that fun? Does it make it fun in class?
Yes.
And again, how is it fun? I mean, what are the types of things, you've shared some of them, but I'm wondering, what are some of the types of things that you've been doing with your classmates as it relates to the Riosec? I know the pineapple was a big deal too. I saw that on Twitter, so maybe you could explain that to everyone.
The other day when we were building when I was building with boxes, I was building boxes with my friend Jolene and my friend Leah.
Mm-hmm. What was the purpose of the boxes?
We were making a little city for our Dash robots so we can drive them through the city.
Wow, and so so what was your role and what was your box? Because it sounds like you had a special box for the city.
I made a bank.
You made a bank. Well, that's important. Okay, excellent. Thank you. And was everyone in the class building other buildings within the city? Is that what was happening?
Some were building boxes, some were painting boxes, and that's all I remember.
Sounds like fun, actually. So this, I can only imagine, I can picture it in my mind, what's happening right here.
Some of the students were also drawing maps of cities and designing the town for where the boxes were going to go.
I think it's amazing. And I imagine, as I can picture it, that there is a social and emotional learning component that happens as teams are working together. I don't know if students are working independently or they're working in groups, but how are you combining students based on their interests, perhaps, to take on different tasks? Is that part of the process?
Well, it is part of the process, and we've actually been doing a week or so of teamwork and seeing how we can handle that in first grade. I started by kind of assigning a team leader, and then the groups formed from there, and we came up with some struggles about how that was working and who was feeling successful and who was feeling left out and who was trying to put the pieces together and really make the teams work. And we struggled with that for a day, and then we regrouped the next day, and then the next day I said, okay, you guys know enough about yourselves and enough about how a team works. How about we let you figure out the team dynamic today? And so they pulled together with people that they had things in common with, and they worked together, and it was smooth sailing.
Thank you. And Fadi, it must sound like what you imagine when you think of a team that's working in aerospace engineering, right? And here it is happening in first grade, a whole team working together, building, designing, creating. And as you think of your own interests and what you're thinking about through your next career, how do you think this could help someone like yourself, heading into ninth grade, thinking about your future? How do you think starting early would help you in your career plans?
Starting early would help because you already know the basics for a team, and then again, you know how teamwork works, that it's not just one person doing all the work, and it's really everybody pulling together and doing a part and then as it finishes, it's not just one person who worked, it's a group of people who had pulled together and did something.
Absolutely. What is your favorite part about working on a team? What is the role that you like to play when you're on a team?
For me, it depends, but I'm more of a leader, and I try to get everything to where it is, and then I try to get it organized so that we finish quickly. And
yeah, as an engineer, don't waste any time, right? Let's get everyone on task, on project, make it happen, right?
Yeah.
And Mom, the expression that you have of pride about your son is amazing. And I'm sure everyone in the audience is recognizing that. Can you just talk through what you're experiencing right now as you hear your child up here on the TED stage, being able to share about his hopes and dreams, thinking about the future?
Yeah.
What are you experiencing?
So I saw that all in a minute while he was talking when he was little one, and now he's going to high school. He's basically not only him. I always tell him, not only is all of us, we are starting a new chapter in our family. So it was like the time that we were trying to enroll him to the high school, and we had lots of options here I never experienced back home. So this is the beauty of USA. But the thing is, I have no idea where to put him or which school would be the best school for him to have his a dream come true, right? So, but the help that I got because of Word of Work, I started searching and asking, and that helped me a lot to find the school that best fit his needs, the things that he likes to do, and prepare him as well for his future studies.
It's incredibly powerful, and I know as many families are sitting out in the audience are probably wondering, how can I get some of that? Because it is not an easy path to navigate. Mm-hmm. I'd like to close building on that. In the research that we do and in the surveys that we ask our students to complete, starting in 5th grade, this survey is used to measure hope and engagement of our students. And one of the statements reads, "I know that one day I will find a good job." And I'm just wondering, Fadi, how would you rate yourself on that statement? How is your hope meter at this moment as you think about graduating from Cohen Valley and heading to your next journey? How do you feel that we've done in supporting you around that question?
I feel like I've been supported a lot and very positively. And right now I feel like I'm at a 10 out of 10 because even though I might not, let's say, get aerospace engineering, I know that there's going to be another job that I could fall back to.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Charlie, would it be too much to ask? We're not supposed to ask anyone under 5th grade this question. But do you feel hopeful about your future?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Man, I was sweating bullets on that one because I didn't know it was coming. Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to. And that was one I was thinking, oh, no. Last words, Miss Shelly. Last words. I mean, it's been an incredible panel. You're all amazing. I'm just wondering how you're reflecting on what you've heard. Certainly, you've taught in 1st grade for a long time, and here's an 8th grader, right, that's come through our amazing school system. Yeah. Does it give you a new perspective on the work that's happening in 1st grade?
I'm loving to see what we can start with the littles, grow with the bigs. It's amazing, and I am so excited, and I'm proud to see the confidence in Fadi and the pride in Mom, and I just think this is amazing, and I love that we are doing this work.
Well, as I said at the start, this is unprecedented work, and certainly the majority of this work happens so much later, typically in the lifespan, where there is no way that a 1st grader, in many cases, no way that an 8th grader would get any sort of exposure to the work that we're talking about. As I said at the beginning, this is a small but mighty panel, and you brought some real vulnerability and some realness to this conversation. I can't thank you enough for doing that. And as folks are at home, perhaps watching this on YouTube down the road, It's important for you to know that this work would only be possible with our amazing trustees and with our superintendent. And as you're thinking yourselves as a family and wondering, how can I have this for my kids? How could this be possible for my own children? It's truly our belief that every child should know that they are unique and special, that every child should know that they have unique strengths, interests, and values that are needed in the world, and every child should have a place to tinker and practice. So as you're wondering about what can you do at home for your own children, please work with your kids and focus on their strengths. What will happen in a world when we focus on what is right with children rather than what is wrong with children? So we encourage you, build on their strengths, build on their interests, and if you have any questions about the work that we're doing, please go to the TEDx Kids website to learn more about the work that's happening right here in Cajon Valley, USD. Thank you.